Oh, oh no. Apply that pressure, chat. Applying that pressure, man. Let's check in. Check in so we can keep applying that pressure. My guy Dan Rogers with some brilliant work today. We're gonna talk about it and make sure that it's well understood. This is something, I've actually been talking about for about 3 years now. Dan Rogers put it into context and said it as clearly or more so than anybody has to this point, myself included. I don't know that I could have said it as well as he did. So we're gonna address that. The salary cap is fake. So long as you choose to exploit its loopholes, just ask the Eagles and the $400 million that they have sitting in void years. Does that $400 million in potential dead cap guarantee that they'll be in cap hell around 2029? No, it does not. So point being here, and this is from my tweet on February 18th, and then we're going to let Dan do the rest. You kill this music here. That's enough. Does that $400 million in potential dead cap guarantee that they'll be in cap hell around 2029? The Eagles, that is, with their $400+ million. So think about it, guys. What Dan is saying, what I am saying, what this tweet here is showing you, and what Dan's article is about to allude to. Bloggingtheboys.com, by the way. $400 million is like $150 million more than this year's current salary cap. The Eagles have double that and voided years pushed off into the future. $400 million plus. Does that $400 million dead cap guarantee that they'll be in cap hell around 2029? No, it does not. Why? Because the value of the NFL cap dollar isn't the same as what it's going to be 4 years down the road. The ever increasing, ever ballooning salary cap, right? That we touch on so frequently. For instance, $30 million over the cap in 2025 might also mean $60 million under the cap 5 years down the road in 2029. Does that make sense? For example, the cap, like last year, just this season alone, the cap jumped $30 million. See what y'all talking about in the chat. Dan is in the house, of course. We got Go Big. Lando got his detective work going on. Watch out. Yeah, I also got the 50 Shades of Cream happening today as well. So don't judge me. But you can check it all out. Discounted Father's Day discount is live too, by the way. GetYourWagon.com. That link is always going to be in the description for y'all. So make sure you're going and checking that out. Taking care of your husbands, your fathers, your sons. Some of you have different types of important men in your life, but make sure that you're checking that stuff out. If you ever see anything that you like that I'm rocking, man, you guys always know where to go. GetYourWagon.com. The link that's provided there in the description is the discounts already included. So you don't have to worry about typing any special codes in or anything like that. So let me share the screen so y'all can just kind of get a good visual real fast if you want to, if you choose to. This is what we're referring to right here. February 18th of this year, 10:32 p.m. And that was that thumbnail is from a YouTube video that we elaborated in more detail back then. But let's cut to the chase, man. Dan Rogers, brilliant work. I'll have to tag him and make sure that he knows that I'm discussing his article here. I just want to make sure that everybody knows his art. He gets the credit for this masterpiece that he put out. At Danny Phantom 24 on Twitter, by the way. The Dallas Cowboys aren't going to win the Super Bowl this season, he starts off. At least that's the sentiment of the odds makers, as ESPN has them ranked 19th with 50-1 odds this season to win it all. Seems a little off to me, right? The fact that George Pickens didn't move that line much, if at all, kind of interesting. But neither here nor there. The perception of this football team is pretty low. We get it. They had struggles last year. They have a new coaching staff this year, and Jerry Jones is running the team, which many would consider the kiss of death. Many do consider it the kiss of death. The Cowboys have their work cut out for them. That's pretty widely understood, right? Especially when we acknowledge, even when they're winning 12 games, the thing that I try to make sure that people do not forget when pointing fingers at the quarterback, right? Not that Dak is innocent, but that this is the ultimate team sport and that it's always multifaceted when you're trying to contextualize the why your team is losing. Important to remember, it's not the who necessarily at running back. It's the how you run the football. And that's the sum of more than just one part, the fault of more than just one position. The Cowboys most certainly have their work cut out for them, even when they win 12 games. Can somebody in the chat tell me the numbers, the work that we have done, the running back yards per carry totals for the Dallas Cowboys in each of the last 3 playoff losses? I'll let somebody in the chat say it because I'm tired of saying it. Makes me want to puke. And by the way, I'm Lando from the Lando Show.
All right.
And this is Sports Below the Surface.
I am inevitable.
So Dan goes on. We discussed the great advantage that the Philadelphia Eagles have given themselves by the way that Howie Roseman operates and how it's a stark contrast to the Cowboys. The Eagles aggressively use void years to spend money now and push out costs into the future. Philly is on an island with the way that they use this. So what Dan means by on an island, okay, what he's talking about, the Eagles have double the amount of money deferred into the future. And void years, by the way, just in case y'all aren't aware, let me just I'll pull up Dak's contract on Spotrac real fast so you guys can see. I'll give you that visual too. Spotrac.com, Spotrac. All right, share this tab. Rain, Dakota. Congrats to the Prescotts, by the way, or I guess to Dak and his fiance. They're not married yet, are they? Just welcomed their newest addition into the world. Really cool stuff, man. And something that Shotty celebrates, by the way. Important. Discussed that whole situation yesterday. So what y'all can see right here, okay, what Dan's referring to, voided years. This is just it's a contractual loophole, right? Because when we say the salary cap is fake, we're not just pulling words out of our rear ends here and trying to make it sound cool. The salary cap it obviously exists. It's a principle, right? But it's more an accounting principle than any sort of hard financial or team building restriction. Okay. This void years right here, what you see in orange is exactly why. Okay. This is a built-in loophole that teams like the Eagles, and of course the Cowboys do too, but they're really only utilizing this for 2 players in particular. We're going to discuss that in a second. But the void years in orange, what that is it's a salary deferral, an accounting deferral into the future to make the money work now. How can the Eagles have $450 million worth of player in a 2025 salary cap season that's only slotted or that's capped at $279 million? How on earth can the Eagles do that? How's that possible? They're cheating. They have too many good players on their roster. Void years. What you see right here in orange. Okay. It's a risk. This is not risk-free. You are taking a leap of faith to some extent, but you're also banking on and relying on what you know about the ever-increasing value of the NFL dollar and the ever-ballooning salary cap that's parlayed with that. Barring something catastrophic, like another, say 2020 COVID year, when fans aren't in attendance, business is booming. NFL business is booming. Yeah! So what I really want y'all to listen to, just everything really that Dan wrote, okay? I mean, it's...
Guys,
it's good stuff.
Listen. Okay, what?
The next highest team is the Cleveland Browns, who have over $200 million less allocated into voidable years, money deferred into the future. The Eagles are number one, $452 million. The Browns are number two at $248 million. The Saints at three, $164 million. The Niners at four, $138 million. And the Lions at five, $94 million. What do you notice about three out of the four NFC teams listed here within the top five of this number? Perennial contenders. You think that's a fluke? Is that a coincidence? The Lions, the Niners, and the Eagles. Those are the three best teams in the NFC for the last half decade. Those are the teams that we say we're penciling in as NFC and Super Bowl champion contenders. What does Howie Roseman know? What is he doing? Why is he doing this at a rate that nobody else is? Let's continue to unpack. Are we making sense so far? Like, any questions? Any hard to see the data showing? I can blow it up for you. I'm sorry. Is that better? Monsky? Sorry about that. I probably should have considered that. That's my bad. This one's on me.
All right, yeah, get him the hell out of here, will you, please?
Show's over. Time's up.
Get him out of here. Throw him out.
Get his ace up out of here, man. Ooh, Clemente dropping some bars up in here, huh? All right, cool. So Monsky's. Am I pronouncing that right too, by the way? Monsky? I think I am. Cool. So Monsky's with it. All right, let's continue. The Cowboys. Okay, so we got Eagles at 450, Niners at 138, Lions at 94. The Cowboys are all the way down at 16th at 44 million, which, as he alludes to what we mentioned a second ago, mostly comprised of the void years of Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb. Okay? So when people are confused, like I still see so many people discussing Micah Parsons saying, yeah, maybe the Cowboys have $32 million of cap space now, but they got to pay Micah Parsons. They fail to account for some of what we're discussing here, right? Micah Parsons, his extension, much like CeeDee, much like Dak, it doesn't cost you cap space. It actually creates it, largely due to this type of stuff right here, accounting. Now you don't have to backload money and press it further into tack on void years to create cap space with a contract extension. You don't. That's just what the Eagles are choosing to do, more so than anybody. All right. And so here's really quickly, I'm going to actually go back to my article real fast and switch back. I want to make this point clear here. When I actually did this experiment, you go and ask an Eagles fan or any Cowboys fan, right? The number one difference between the Cowboys and the Eagles. You might get a variety of different answers. But the largest, the most significant difference between those two franchises is that one general manager can get fired. And I think everybody here is well aware of that, right? I'm not breaking any news with that one. But so here's the thing, okay? I'm trying to think of how I want to say this. You can't applying pressure for a front office that can very easily succumb to complacency because they can't get fired. We got to make sure that we're talking about these things, making noise out of it. Because believe it or not, the fan base does have a voice. There's countless examples of that. Right, but the Cowboys, they can't for far too long, right? They depend too much on cheap labor and compensatory picks as sort of their foundation for roster building. And that comp pick formula, in many cases, I would argue, has gotten in the way of making wise team building and roster construction decisions. Because they value the cheap labor and the future NFL draft pick compensation as a result of the compensatory draft pick formula too strongly. Yeah, it's nice to have cost-controlled labor, but if you can go get a difference-making veteran right now and not have to worry, like you're getting a proven product. You're not having to bank on dissecting what some incoming rookie has between the ears. You don't raise banners like the Eagles just did for winning the comp pick formula, okay? You got to, at some point, it requires a little bit of financial aggression. Now back to Dan's article here. Such a method is very satisfying for most Eagles fans, as having a stacked roster has produced favorable results for them. Cowboys fans, on the other hand, are left scratching their heads, wondering why their front office doesn't take more action in bolstering their roster. Okay, here's where it starts to get really interesting. The front office isn't cheap. They do spend money. They aren't pocketing any surplus funds necessarily from not using all their cap space. They just manage it differently and aren't as accepting of the idea of allocating a large amount of their future resources to address their needs now. But should they be? Question mark. All right. So this is where Monski was ahead of the curve here, because I really do want you guys to see this graph. It's very clean. It's very it really just helps you dissect and process everything that's being written and spoken about at this point. Okay. So this graph here, hopefully y'all can see it loud and clear. Number of high-priced players. Okay, so just assuming you're not driving, take a peek at that for just a second. And then I just want y'all to get a decent visual, and then we'll continue reading along. So If the Cowboys are being fiscally responsible and adhering to the intended spirit of the salary cap, but other teams aren't, then Dallas should consider changing their stripes, right? If enough teams start pushing more money into the future to acquire more talent now, then the Cowboys are obviously going to be left with a clear disadvantage. Okay? The breakdown of high-priced players right here. Players that make $20 million per year or more. You know who's at the top of the NFC? The Eagles and the Lions with 7 and 6, respectively. You know who's at the top of the AFC? The Ravens and the Chiefs with 4 apiece. And you might say, well, Lando, the Cowboys got 3. The Bills have 3. They're doing okay. Well, sure. Well, let's take it a step further. What do the Bills, Ravens, and Chiefs have, since they're closer in the $20 million player mark? What do those 3 AFC teams have that the Cowboys don't? Well, they more than double the Cowboys' amount in $10 million players. The Bills have 7. The Chiefs have 5. The Ravens have 4. Cowboys only have 2. So the 2 teams in the NFC more than double the Cowboys' $20 million players. The 3 teams at the top of the list in the AFC here more than double the Cowboys' list of $10 million players. Once again, what do we notice about all the teams here listed? These are the 3 best teams in the AFC. And more than just 1 year of a sample size. So I'm eliminating the Commanders here. We'll see what they do moving forward. But the last half a decade or more, the Eagles and the Lions, as well as the 49ers that we just mentioned a minute ago, those have been the pinnacle, the North Star of the NFC. I'm going to reduce this again because I know some people get tired of just staring at the same white screen. So more people probably get tired of seeing my big ugly mug. So maybe I'm wrong for thinking that. But Kelvin Hicks is here. Better late than never, brother. Appreciate you, man. Yeah, so Monski's, look at it. I mean, the Eagles and the Lions have more $20+ million players than the Cowboys have 20 and 10 combined. Correct. Good context there. And once again, shout out to Dan Rogers. Great follow on Twitter. Clearly a great writer for Blogging the Boys. I mean, this stuff is it's crazy to see, man. Stuff that I've been talking about for years. So, like, I hope this blows up, Dan. I really do. This data, not this video, this data is what I'm saying. If you only look at the players making at least $10 million, it goes like this. The Eagles and Bills each have 10 players making $10 million or more. The Chiefs have 9. The Lions and Ravens have 8. The Cowboys only have 5. I'm going to read that one more time. The Eagles and Bills have 10 players, each making at least 10 million. The Chiefs have 9. The Lions and Ravens have 8. The Cowboys 5.
Damn!
And we wonder, why the heck can't we get over that playoff hump? Interesting. Not only do the Cowboys not have many players with a huge average annual salary, they also don't have very many hitting the $10 million mark, right? So this is one of my favorite punchlines too. There's some subtleties, a subtle shot kind of built in here. He's mocking the critics who point the finger at one particular player. You guys can take a wild guess as to who that one particular player is that gets blamed more so than he deserves. Just because we're surface level simps, that's the way that I like to characterize it. But okay, let's dig deeper, right? So he says some people are quick to suggest that while the Cowboys don't have a large quantity of high-priced players, they still have a huge chunk going to their top-paid players, particularly one little fella whose contract is constantly brought up. Everybody knows that Dak is the highest-paid player in the league at $60 million annually. Is his contract hamstringing the Cowboys? It is not. See, that's why y'all get so confused. Y'all get caught up in that annual figure, the average annual salary, but you fail to acknowledge the void years. I'm going to throw this phone if I get one more spam call today. Is Dak's contract hamstringing the Cowboys? No. And anybody that tries to say that it is, this is what you tell them. Nope, that's the wrong one.
All right,
There we
get
go.
him the hell out of
Wrong
here.
red
will
button.
You, please? Get him out of here. Throw him out.
This is an underrated graph here, too. Each of the other teams listed above also have a franchise quarterback who's commanding a huge chunk of their salary as well. Technically cheaper than Dak, yes. But, you know, people say, well, Dak's the only guy that makes $60 million average annual salary. But guess what? There's, 13 others that make 50 plus? We don't talk about those guys. We don't talk about, like, prior to Dak's extension last year, only 2 guys that were paid inside the top 10. I did this work. I remember speaking about it on a YouTube live setting, just like the one we're having right now. And I think I did the top 12, not the top 10. So the top 12 quarterbacks prior to Dak's extension, when he was still making 40 APY, which once again is not the actual number as far as what's reflected on the salary cap. Big difference. But at the time, of the top 12 quarterbacks, Dak was 12th prior to this extension that he's making 60 on. Only 2 of them had more playoff wins. Or I'm sorry, it was 3. It was Jared Goff, Joe Burrow, and Patrick Mahomes. More playoff wins than Dak Prescott of guys that were making top 12 quarterback money. Only 3 had more playoff wins than Dak did. Goff with 4 at the time, which was last offseason prior to the extension. Joe Burrow had 5 at the time, and Patrick Mahomes with a whopping 15. So, context for you. All right? It seems evident that for the Cowboys to have a fighting chance at keeping up with these top teams, they need to open up their wallet a little bit more. The Cowboys aren't a team that struggles to find talent. They are good at that part, and that's true. That's also worth noting here. But they are notorious for letting that talent get away in free agency because of, say it with me, the comp pick formula. Worth noting, CowboysCountry.com, that there's an article that I went into detail on that. If you aren't familiar, if you just Google, I'll just show you the thumbnail so you know what to look for, because I know sometimes that gets tricky. I'll find it. Cowboys obsession, this one right here. Cowboys obsession with subtle formula could be hurting the roster. Back on March 11th of 2025. So if you just Google either Athlon Sports or Cowboys Country and then type in my name, And then this headline right here, Cowboys obsession with subtle formula. You can read that. I'll try to remember to include that in the description as well. I'll put that link in the description so you guys can have easier access. But just in case I forget, everybody knows exactly what to search for. Okay. Back to business. It's a weird thing to consider. But the Cowboys need to adapt to some degree to keep up. We all know that Micah's going to get a contract extension, $40 million APY, by the way. That's coming. It's not a matter of if, but when. For anybody who is questioning whether or not that deal is going to get done, it's going to get done. And that will alter the above figures somewhat, but they need to do a little bit more than just Parsons. Okay, so now let's talk about it. Guys that likely are going to command 20 million or more, or no, let's say 20. Okay, Tyler Smith is going to push that. He's going to get 20 million. George Pickens, probably. Deron Bland, yep. And there's one more that I'm forgetting. It's an obvious one. Micah, Deron, Tyler, George. Oh, that's 4. Okay. So those 4 right there, that's gonna close that gap significantly. But there's still massive question marks, at least to the general public, about at least 2 of those. We know Micah's gonna stay. So that's one extra guy that's making top of the market or more than 20 million for the Cowboys. So that puts him at 6. Tyler Smith is going to put him at 7. George Pickens and Deron Bland are the ones that are fair to question, but they didn't bring, I think my daughters are here, so I need to wrap this up. They're home from school. They didn't bring George Pickens. If it's Hagen, she can come in here with me. I'm almost done. Come here, sissy. If it's George Pickens, they didn't bring him in here.
Oh, thank you for the kissy. Can you say hi? Hi.
So George Pickens, they brought him here with the intention of re-signing him, and I hope that they do that. This everything that we're saying right here. Hi, sissy. This proves that there's no excuse not to. Yeah, sorry, baby. Come here. Come sit with me. I'm almost done. Sorry, guys. This is why my punctuality sometimes suffers, but it's worth it, right?
Right, Jesse?
Hey, can you do me a favor? We're gonna close it out here. So, there is some further elaboration that's necessary, guys, but not more necessary than this stuff right here. Can you do me a favor? Can you push this top right blue button? Okay. Oops. You like this?
I want to do different.
You want to do a different one?
Okay.
She's playing all my drops. All right, you can close us out today, okay? Here's what we're going to say. You ready?
Ready.
I'm going to tell you what to say, and you're going to tell them. Okay, you're going to say, remember. You say, remember. Say, prayer changes things, and the war is already won.
First, I did one.
And you say, subscribe to the channel, please. And what else do we need to tell them? Say, I got big muscles.
I got big muscles. Daddy, what is that?
That's just my work. My work. All right, guys. The salary cap is fake. Just keep that in mind. Next time the
Daddy.
Joneses try to tell you there's not enough pie, they're liars.
Yeah!
I love y'all. Talk to y'all. When are we going to talk to him again? Tomorrow? Tomorrow. Talk to you tomorrow. All right. Y'all be good.